Perceptions and Culture by Heidi Stralow. Relational Psychology. What is web-based social understanding? It is perceiving nonverbal expressivity, because the person's behind the camera, so you can't see what their nonverbal facial expressions or body movements are. People make less detailed but more intense personality descriptions than they do face-to-face. And limited online cues take on a more powerful meaning than if you had nonverbal cues. Also, there are many qualitative differences between online and face-to-face social interactions. However, both use some of the same strategies when making first impressions. Now, how does culture relate to our perceptions of others and ourselves? Culture relates to our views of others because the lens through which our brain sees the world shapes our reality. And these perceptions do vary across cultures because each culture has a different way of seeing things. And in comparing and contrasting some key difference between American cultures and I chose the Japanese culture. The first one being punctuality. People in the U.S. are a lot more lenient about being late, whereas in Japan, punctuality is considered a sign of disrespect if you show up even a few seconds late. The second one is PDA, which is public displays of affection. In the U.S., it's somewhere in the middle on how they see that. And in Japan, PDA is highly frowned upon, but they rely on public pressure and disapproving glares to keep people in check. So they don't really have any laws in place. And then the third one is individualistic versus collectivist societies. In the U.S., we have an individualistic society. People find satisfaction with their own accomplishments and focus on their own aspirations in order to follow the American dream. Whereas in Japan, they are more of a collectivist society, and people are focused on groups and community satisfaction, and pride is found within the group that you belong to. And the last one is authority, which is freedom of speech is a basic right. Therefore, we can question authority, and that's in the U.S. And in Japan, when it comes to authority, they have a hierarchical setup. The elders command respect, and wisdom within families is highly respected, and direct eye contact is frowned upon. And things that surprised me, I had to put a goofy panda in there to kind of make things more lively. The first one was public displays of affection, that they're frowned upon. That surprised me because I just think that would be kind of difficult, especially for somebody like me, because I'm a very affectionate person. And direct eye contact is considered disrespectful. That would be a difficult one for me as well, because I really like looking into people's eyes when I meet them. Kind of gives me a gauge of who they are, and kind of gives me a better feeling of the person. And looking at, has this research changed my perception or previous impressions about this particular culture? I guess research has changed some of my previous perceptions about Japanese culture. I think it's really honorable that they're a collectivist society and that they follow a more biblical mindset than we do. The Bible presents a positive view of collectivism, yet it also powerfully speaks to the value of an individual. So that just kind of shows me the balance there, that we need to have a balance in our lives with everything that we do. We don't want to be totally neglecting who we are, but we also want to balance that with, taking care of others and thinking of others before ourselves. One of the Bible verses that spoke to me on that subject was in Acts 4:32. All the believers were united in heart and mind, and they felt that what they owned was not their own, so they shared everything they had. Which tells me that we all need to be united in our hearts and our minds, and if we have something that somebody else doesn't have, God wants us to share that and be generous givers. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you and goodbye. What's going on here? Oh, I think